jump in here. We're going to talk with Mark in a moment, but you're hearing a consistent tone from Fed presidents, and we'll likely hear the same from Federal Reserve Chairman Jay Powell when he speaks on Thursday, not to expect some fast string of rate cuts. Is that what you would expect?
Yeah, well, I saw an interesting theory yesterday that makes the most amount of sense to me, that with interest rates going up so far, so fast in this last rate hiking cycle, what that did to bank balance sheets in terms of all the long-term bonds they held on their balance sheet. And if you look at where the 30-year fixed mortgages and the 10-year Treasury, that historical spread should be about 175 basis points. Now, so a 30-year fix should be about 5.5%, but it's closer to 7. And I think if the Fed were to cut 100 or 150 basis points rather quickly, it would relieve a lot of pressure in these balance sheets, dropping mortgage rates dramatically and allowing for capital markets to function much better and take a lot of stress away from these banks. I think that's an angle not a lot of people are looking at and talking about, but to me, that's why I think we're going to get a little bit more aggressive from the Fed than they're letting on.
Well, I mean, look, thanks very much, Lydia Hu. Mike Lee, let me get your take on the impact of a potential port strike on an economy that is already slowing, so much so that Nancy Lazar thinks we're going to go into recession.
Maria, this would be devastating. Like, not only would it be bad for the economy, I mean, this would literally ruin Christmas for a lot of people. But why are we here? Why are they demanding such aggressive wage hikes? And it's all goes back to inflation. It's just like the auto workers needed more money, and they need job protections from things this administration has done to this economy. And again, here we are knocking on the door of a massive transportation crisis. Okay, do we hear a peep from Mayor Pete, or is he still too busy bragging about the 7 charging stations we got for $8 billion? Okay,
well, he was MIA in all the other disasters that we've been covering in the last couple of years. Why wouldn't he be MIA in this one?
Okay, and then where's the Treasury Secretary? Where's the Secretary of Labor? This should be an all hands on deck, doing everything humanly possible to come to a deal, even if it's just temporary, so they do not go on strike and devastate this economy.
It looks like they're going on strike, Cheryl, unless they... Well, welcome back. It is time now for the Word on Wall Street. Top investors watching your money. Joining me right now is UBS financial advisor Ryan Lynch, and Michael Lee is with me here throughout the morning. Ryan, great for you. How are you allocating capital right now? What's most important?
Yeah, Maria, when I'm looking at the market, I'm all about this artificial intelligence trade. We're going through the largest technology upgrade cycle in the history of the world. And just when we say AI and artificial intelligence, my first thought goes to Terminator 2 and seeing the T-1000 running. But really what it's about, Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA, a week and a half ago, put it perfectly. It's about taking problems, data problems that would have taken years to solve, and solving them in minutes. And the value to every major corporation in the world to have that capability, it's hard to put a measure on right now. And the bear argument against NVIDIA and a lot of these AI trades has been, where is the profitability? And again, Jensen Huang knocking that out of the park a week and a half ago when he said for every dollar that Google or Amazon or Oracle or Microsoft spends on a NVIDIA GPU, they could turn around and rent that out for $5. So there's an enormous amount of profitability for all these companies right now. And we're still, in my opinion, in the very early stages. And one company that's just been a rocket ship, that is one of the favorite companies that I've seen in my entire career, is Palantir. They just got added to the S&P 500. And what they do is they are the software that talks to all these companies' systems. So it's hard to put your arms around all the capabilities that Palantir has, because they were funded by the CIA in 2003 and have been mostly a defense contractor, software provider. So we won't know everything about them because it is classified. But when we talk about these complicated data problems, the term is large language models. So it's great to have to build up all this infrastructure with Microsoft, with Google, with Amazon on their cloud for these companies. But without software to implement it, you're not really going to be able to put it to use the way that you thought you would or you would like to. And Palantir is a unique solution. They are alone in the market with their technology. And I think this is a stock to watch and a stock you need to own.
Well, look, I think it's a great idea. I think, Peter Thiel is the founder of Palantir, and they're very much in step with the kinds of tools that the U.S. government needs and uses in the military in terms of drones and technology. So I know that it's certainly an innovative story. What about valuations? I mean, here you are talking about, Mag 7 type names. NVIDIA has been off the charts. Does it bother you that these stocks have outsized moves over the last few years? Well, valuations.
Maria, every major technology trend over the last 20 years has been shouted down by the bears on valuation concerns. And the same people shouting down these names on valuation concerns were the ones telling us the iPhone would never overtake the BlackBerry. And so for Palantir is one of the most expensive stocks in the market, but there's one software, ERP, enterprise resource planning. It's an $80 billion market. Palantir could take over the entire market with the product they have right now. So the sky is the limit for a lot of these stocks in the near term.
Ryan, final word on your favorite. So it's, oh, well, that was an error. Yeah, technology error. Mike, this is getting exhausting, okay? These social media companies constantly working against Republicans, conservatives, and certainly President Trump. And then they make believe it's a mistake.
Yeah, Maria. Look, you can see with what they have, the blob, if you will, has done to Twitter, or now X, getting it kicked out of Brazil, crushing the advertising spend and the platform, even though engagement is at all-time highs. So, look, if you're not in line with this left-wing ideology, there is massive coordination, I would say, between our government and these tech companies to push certain narratives, to push certain candidates on what's our approved thoughts and approved opinions.
Yeah, and we know that that's the case, Tricia. We know that some 1,000 people in government in various agencies were working with social media during COVID to try to shut down free speech, shut down any talk about the Hunter Biden laptop, cancel users who said something that wasn't in their narrative. We already know it from the tricks for companies who produce here in the U.S. Record low regulations, he says, and a pledge to cut energy costs in half, granting federal land if needed, and infrastructure and workforce. He says, look, if you don't accept these ideas and bring your manufacturing back to the U.S., then you will face tariffs to pay. Mike Lee, your reaction to this? We've got some of the quotes that he's going to use today when he gets to Georgia. And he's basically going to say, look, I'm going to make the point that if you bring your manufacturing here to America and hire American workers to make your products, you'll have much better terms than if not.
Maria, I mean, we have seen this before from President Trump, and let's just compare and contrast. Okay, if President Trump, for some reason, does not win the White House this fall, the way that I'm reading the polls, he has a large lead from an electoral college standpoint and a small lead from the national standpoint. But if he doesn't win, we are most likely headed towards a recession, as Nancy Lazar was talking about yesterday. And so when you focus on manufacturing, when you focus on producing goods here, there is a multiplier effect, and it improves productivity on the entire economy. And you combine that with the other benefits we're going to get from lower regulation and lower energy costs on everybody else in this country, you have the recipe for like a reignition of the economic boom that we saw in the first term. So, look, I think this is a great idea. This is adding on to all the great things he did before, and where on the other side, we may get some policy tomorrow. However, I am not going to hold my breath.
Yeah. Well, look, Cheryl, money is mobile. We know that. And, remember. Yeah, that's true, Mike. What do you think?
Yeah, well, if you dig deeper into that New York Times poll, you can see the support and the key difference from 2020 to now is with working class Hispanics. So people that came here legally, people that jumped through the hoops, people that paid the money, that came here the right way, the legal way, are seeing all these favors given to people that are breaking the rules by this administration, on top of the crippling inflation that everyone's seeing in front of them. So this is going to be an extraordinarily difficult race for Kamala Harris to win, unless she can completely separate herself from Joe Biden's last 3.5 years. I don't see that happening.
Again, I still am shocked by the polls. I've done it many, many times. Final thoughts, Michael Lee.
Yeah, I think we're getting another 50 basis points by the end of the year. I don't know if we get 50 in the next meeting or we get 25, but I think there's a high probability we're going to get another 50 from the Fed before the year is over, and that these AI stocks continue to run.
Well, I think, given the election is in 40-plus days, Mike, somebody's going to get involved and intervene in that potential port strike. They're not going to allow that right before the election. What do you think?
Well, look, incompetence knows no bounds in this administration. I mean,
yeah.
Kamala Harris, $42 billion to connect people to the internet. No one's connected. $8 billion to get 7 charging stations. So you would think someone would intervene and we wouldn't be here. But, these people just keep trying to top themselves. Like, who could be the greater idiot, right? But
good point. Tricia McLaughlin, final thoughts.